Hello, and thank you for your interest in LanguageCert, an approved SELT provider for the UK government. My name is Janet Golding, and today I'm talking to you about preparing for your A2 Speaking and Listening SELT exam. So first, I'll tell you about your A2 exam. Then I'll move on to information about preparing for your exam. Then I'll talk to you about what to do on exam day. And finally, I'll tell you about some other useful information. Okay, so first, let's look at the A2 Speaking and Listening exam. It is an online interview with a live, real examiner. We call them an interlocutor. You take this test at a LanguageCert SELT test centre, and it takes 9 to 11 minutes. You get your preliminary result in 15 minutes, sent to your email address, and your result is confirmed in 3 business days. To pass, you need to get 60 marks or more out of 100. Okay, in this exam, there are 4 different parts. In part 1, you give personal information. In part 2, you start or answer in 2 everyday situations. In part 3, you give information and listen to information. In part 4, you listen and answer questions, and then you talk about a topic. Okay, now let's look at these 4 parts in more detail. So, preparing for your exam. In part 1, which takes 1 minute and 30 seconds to 2 minutes, you need to give personal information. So you must say and spell your family name, say where you are from, and answer 3 simple questions. Here is an example of part 1. So the first questions from the examiner will be, can you spell your family name for me, please? And where are you from? Then the examiner will ask you 3 more questions about everyday topics. For example, daily life. What time do you wake up? Or travel. How do you usually travel around? Or food and drink. What's your favourite food and why? Here is some helpful information about part 1. Remember the 2 questions the examiner asks you first. Can you spell your family name for me, please? And where are you from? Try to answer clearly. We ask everyone these 2 questions, so be ready. Practice how to spell your family name before the exam. Here is some helpful information about the other questions the examiner can ask you. Remember, these are the examples we just looked at. Try to answer with full sentences. Practice answering these questions with a friend. Look at the A2 topics in the qualification handbook and think of questions like the ones above, and practice again with your friend. Remember to look at our practice papers for more examples. Okay, now let's look at part 2. Part 2 takes 1 minute and 30 seconds, and you need to communicate in 2 everyday situations. So you must start the conversation or you answer. Here are some examples for part 2. Example 1. The examiner can say, I work at a restaurant. You phone to book a table for dinner. I start. Oscar's restaurant, how can I help you? And then you answer and a short conversation continues. In the second example, the examiner can say, we're friends. You want to buy a new phone and you want my advice. You start. So you begin the conversation and then the examiner will continue and you have a short conversation. Remember, when you do part 2, this helpful information. So here are the same examples we just saw. If you look here at the information at the bottom, so please ask the examiner if you don't understand something. Practice other situations like these ones with a friend. Use the practice papers. Take 2 turns each. Okay, now part 3. Part 3 takes 1 minute and 30 seconds to 2 minutes, and you need to ask for and give information. You must talk about what is the same and what is different in 2 pictures. Here is an example. You can see here 2 pictures. On the left, the examiner's picture. On the right, your picture. You don't see the examiner's picture, you just see your one. The examiner can say, now part 3, here is a picture of a market stall. I have a different picture of a market stall. Let's ask and answer questions about the 2 pictures. I start. I've got a man talking on his mobile phone. What about you? And you answer. Then a short conversation continues. Here is some helpful information about the same example and in fact for part 3 in general. Listen carefully to the examiner. Please ask if you don't understand something. Don't worry, that's fine. Tell the examiner what you see. Don't worry if you make some mistakes, keep going. Practice talking about pictures like these with a friend. Okay, here is some information about part 4. In fact, part 4 has 2 different things, 4A and 4B. First, 4A. 4A takes 2 minutes and 30 seconds to 3 minutes. You need to understand someone talking about something. You must listen to the examiner and answer questions. So, here is an example of 4A. You listen to the examiner twice. You will see the questions first, and you can take notes when you listen. Here is some typical information you can hear from the examiner. Marco works as a car mechanic. He loves his job, but he also enjoys relaxing and spending time with his family or on his hobbies. His favourite hobby is cooking. He can cook many dishes very well, not just pizza and pasta, but the dish all his friends like is his Spanish omelette. Last year he took online lessons to learn how to bake desserts. Marco says that cooking isn't difficult and that everyone should learn how to cook. At the weekends, he likes to cook with his 2 children, and his daughter also takes photos of the food they make. She has a blog, and she writes about the dishes they make together. So you hear this information twice. And here are some typical questions. What is Marco's favourite hobby? What did Marco learn last year? And who takes the photos? Okay, now let's have a look at some helpful information about Part 4A. Ask if you don't understand the instructions. Remember, you hear the information twice, then you answer the questions. Write words or brief notes only so that you concentrate on the listening. Don't worry if you miss something the first time. Look at the questions carefully because they will help you listen for key information. Okay, now let's have a look at Part 4B. Part 4B takes 2 minutes to 2 minutes and 30 seconds, and you need to talk about a topic after 30 seconds of preparation time. You must talk for 1 minute about a topic. The examiner will choose the topic. And then you answer some questions the examiner asks you. Let's look at an example. So you talk on your own and then you answer questions. The examiner can say, for example, you are going to talk on your own for 1 minute. Your topic is your hobbies. You now have 30 seconds to write some notes to help you. You are going to talk about your hobbies. Here are some questions the examiner can ask you after you talk about your hobbies. What new hobby would you like to start? What sports or hobbies are popular in your country? Do you prefer playing sports or watching them on TV? Is there a sport or hobby you don't like? Why? Okay, so here is some helpful information for Part 4B. Remember, you talk on your own about a topic and then you answer some questions. So, during your 30 seconds of preparation time, try to write some key words and decide when you will speak about each one. The examiner will tell you when your preparation time has finished and when to start speaking about the topic on your own. When you speak for your 1 minute, if you can't remember a word, say it in another way. Say as much as you can and then be ready for the questions the examiner can ask you after you finish. Look at the examples in the practice papers before the exam. Also, before exam day, think about questions someone can ask you about typical everyday topics and ask a friend to practice with you. Practice talking about a topic in 1 minute and get a friend to time you. Okay, now let's look at some information about what to do on exam day. Remember, arrive at the SELT test centre 30 minutes before the start time of your test. Complete the necessary sign-in procedures, and please bring with you the same valid photo ID or passport that you used to register for your exam. You leave your belongings in a locker because bags, mobile phones and other personal items are not allowed into the exam room. Breaks are not allowed during your exam. And please ask the friendly test centre if you have any questions before you start the test, and ask the live examiner if you have any questions while you are doing the test. Okay, now let's look at other useful information to help you prepare. LanguageCert has lots of support and information on our website. The most important thing to look at is the Speaking and Listening Qualification Handbook. It has a lot of useful information about the A2 test, including grammar, functions, and topics for this level. It can also be a good idea to look at our practice papers to see typical questions and topics you can meet on exam day. We also have recorded examples of the exams and frequently asked questions with very useful answers. You may also want to take a preparation course before the test to improve your English if required. Don't forget, for any questions about our SELT tests, contact our customer service team. They are always there for you anytime. Okay, if you have any questions, please contact us on our website at this address, or you can email us at this address. We're always happy to hear from you. Thank you for your time today and good luck. Goodbye for now.